All right, you guys. So I'm here to talk you through the Honors Algebra 2 assignment, our first one, week of October 19th to October 23rd. At this point, you should have already done the IXLs, and you should have probably already seen Mr. Park's video where he teaches you how to complete the square. So all I'm really here to do, I'm not going to do this with you. I'm just going to kind of talk you through what you might need to know in order to do this. Now, first of all, the question one, the four methods we use to solve quadratic equations. Again, this is kind of repeat from everything we've done and everything that you've seen in Mr. Park's video. But one thing just to ask, well, if you had an equation like, let's just say this, right? How would you solve this? Like, what technique would you use to solve that, most efficiently? Another thing I might ask is, well, what if you had an equation like this, right? What technique would you use to solve something like that? And third, I might ask, let's say you got something crazy, like, I don't know. Like something just nuts like that. What would you use to solve an equation like that? What's the technique that will always work? And then the other one, probably, let's see, what would be a good one? And I guess I'm kind of loading the deck here, but let's see. All right, something like this, right? How would you solve something like this? Now, I know there's multiple ways you could probably solve something like that, but anyway, just the four different methods that we've learned in this unit. What are they? And just write them down, right? Now, what we've done here, just kind of not to give it away, but we've told you what methods to use to solve these particular ones. Problems, right? Obviously, solved by taking square roots. Solved by using the quadratic formula. Now, remember, what do you have to do in order to use the quadratic formula? Now, if you guys remember, right, unless you set it equal to 0, you can't use that quadratic formula. So what would you have to do to this equation to get it equal to 0? Right now, you guys should know that. I'm not going to say any more, because any more would be giving it away. Now, similarly, for number 4, solving this equation by factoring, right, what do you need to do to this equation in order to solve by factoring? I'll give you a clue. It's the same thing that you need to do if you're going to use the quadratic formula. So one way or the other, right, you're going to set this thing equal to 0, whether it's moving all the stuff from the left side of the equation over to the right, or moving all the stuff from the right side of the equation over to the left, right? Unless you set it equal to 0, you are not going to be able to solve by factoring. Okay, now basically reviewing what Mr. Park did, completing the square, you notice there's one relatively simple one, right? And then there's one a little more advanced. You might have to do a little more algebra to kind of get that looking like something you would use to complete the square. Now, for number 5, though, you're right where you want to be, right? Because that lead coefficient is just 1, right? So you don't have to divide through like you saw Mr. Park do in one of the more advanced videos. It's a relatively simple completing the square application. All right. And then finally for 7, 8, 9, and 10, we want 2 things from you. We not only want you to solve each quadratic equation, and yes, these are quadratic equations, because the highest exponent is a 2. All right. Even though they may not look like quadratic equations that we've seen and we've worked with in class. But how can you solve those, and what do you have to do before you solve them, and just solve them and just explain how you did what you did. So anyway, that's all I really have to say, right? You guys, this is the honors class. Part of being an honors student is you need to be able to figure out how to do things that are slightly more advanced than the stuff that we talked about in class, applying your knowledge on a deeper level. So anyway, good luck with this assignment. Submit it to Google Classroom, and we look forward to seeing your work.